Quincy Douby, born May 16, 1984. Another early 2000s guard you've either heard about or you definitely must know. In his era, the Big East Conference was heavy with elite guard play from well-respected NCAA and NBA level talent. Guards like Randy Foye, Allen Ray, Kyle Lowry, Chris Quinn, and the list goes on. Big East guards in his era were expected to have success in the NBA because of their toughness being from or playing on the East Coast. One thing East Coast guards have always had was confidence and a natural ability to entertain. From 2003 to 2006, Douby may have been the best of them all. He had a natural ability to score the basketball with his unorthodox style game, quick release, and fearless attitude. Nowadays, being a more slender player virtually has no effect on your skills translating to the NBA. But in his era, this wasn't the case. Here's 3 things I think stunted his growth and made him barely sniff the floor in the league. Salute to Hoops is My Life 11 on IG for the requests. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get it! Stunt number 1, one dimension. Let's just begin with the biggest stunt of Quincy's growth in my opinion. He could only do one thing at a high level. Douby was no doubt a great scorer for a long time in his life. He was discovered while playing at a youth center in the area, as well as doing his thing in the streetball world. Gary Waters, Rutgers coach at the time, was contacted by the director of that center and told about this player who was believed to be the best shooter out there. Waters dropped everything and went to see Douby and concurred these assumptions. He immediately wanted him on his team and pursued him as a top priority. Quincy came into the Rutgers system and was as advertised from the beginning. By the end of his freshman year, he made the All Big East freshman team and averaged 12.5 points a game, which is great as a freshman. But if you look closer, you see a lot of 1 point this and 1 point that, numbers that would improve by small margins over the years. But this is a huge indication of a player not having other skills that can translate and help an NBA franchise. If you also look at his shot attempts, specifically his 3-point shooting, you will notice he's always taking a high number of threes a game, with an astounding 18.8 total shots and 8.8 3-point attempts in his final year. That's a lot of shots. Now keep in mind, Rutgers were really bad in his 3 seasons there and never made the NCAA tournament, and never being better than 9th in the conference, so he had to take a high number of shots, not having as much talent around him. Either way, it's still showing his focus being on one aspect of the game. From my perspective, and hypothetically, if I were a scout or GM, that's where I'd be focusing on when thinking of drafting a guy. If he's not doing this or that, what else can he do? Stunt number 2, elite. Besides the aforementioned scoring ability that he clearly possessed, he was missing another important feature in his era of the NBA. In those times, the league was a bit more physical, and the guards or primary ball handlers were taller and possessed more playmaking abilities. Also at that level, the scorers were better. But let's focus on what he wasn't elite at. Douby was clearly at a disadvantage size-wise. He was 6'3", 175 pounds, and his game was predicated on how fast he shot and getting up a lot of shots. In the NBA, being the 19th pick, most likely your name isn't going to be called as a featured player on the team, so you're not going to have that amount of shots as you did in college. Now you'll have to be so much more efficient, taking a small sample of shots like 5 or 6 compared to 20 in college. Douby was also not the most athletic speed or strength-wise, so getting the same space to get that shot off can be difficult for some. Now, there are guys that are comparable to him like Steph Curry, who sometimes plays off the ball and has had great success. He does this because he's the anomaly. Steph is the best shooter ever. Also, Steph's release is really fast, and he was drafted to fill that role, unlike Quincy. He was missing some of the elite skills it takes to have success in the NBA at that size, weight, and play style, while not being able to play the point. Things like elite athleticism, quickness, and defense. Stunt number 3, leaving Rutgers early. In Quincy's own words, he thinks leaving school early was a bad idea in hindsight because he didn't have the chance to develop as he would have liked to as a player and person before he hit the pro scene. I feel a bit different, but you have to take the words from the horse's mouth, especially when they're explaining regrets. I agree that more time in school may have helped him learn more about the game, gave him more chance to learn new skills, or taught him something important like learning how to break down film or polish his work ethic. I just don't know how much more he could have gotten from one more year in school. Also, Quincy was one of the best scoring guards I've ever watched in college. It just seemed like he had a knack for scoring. Somehow, the ball just found its way in the rim. In 2005-2006, he led the Big East in scoring and was an all Big East first team performer. He also scored a Big East season high and Carrier-Dome opponent record of 41 points at Syracuse. He dropped 31 on then number 2 Villanova, and they were triple teaming him. Amazing scorer and player in college, so him leaving early had a lot of reason to it. But like he said, those skills needed time to develop. Like mentioned, he was drafted 19th in the first round by the Sacramento Kings, later waived by the Kings, picked up by the Raptors, and released there as well. He lasted 3 seasons in the league and averaged 4 points for his career while only playing 10 minutes a game, barely seeing the floor. All in all, Quincy Douby is a legend in the Rutgers circle and some parts of the tri-state area as well. He didn't win much, but is a very respected player in the history of the NCAA. He went on to have a very successful overseas career, and in China, he holds the record for points in a game with 75. He seems to have found his niche and is still making money to do what he's naturally gifted at, getting buckets. Salute to him. He aspires to be a coach in the future at a high level, so much blessings his way. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.